Hey everyone, back here with my turtle here. Took it out of my bag very carefully. Opened the bag, reached down in, very carefully take it out of the bag. And we're going to move on to some designs. Now, first I want to talk about the top here. You want to get this pretty smooth before you start. You can take your finger and just kind of use your finger. Take some water. I'm dipping in some water here. And just not too much water. And just take your finger and kind of just go over it. I know you don't have a rib tool if you had something like an old credit card and you cut it to work, but your finger should work fine. We're on a limited amount of tools here, so just try to get that shell as smooth as you can before you start. And then what you want to do is you want to just kind of start putting your designs in here. Now I know that I have an edge around mine. I have like I want to put kind of like a bottom area. I'm using my sharp pencil and I'm just going to go right around here, around the bottom with the pencil or any other sharp tool you might have. And I'm just going to kind of draw the design in first for all of my design. Try to keep that same distance to the bottom. Okay, so I'm just kind of drew that line in there. And then I'm going to just go in here with my design, kind of like think about my drawing and what my drawing looked like. You know, look at your picture, look at anything you have that might help you out. I'm going to kind of start like this. I'm going to put a series of lines across the back. And when I look at this, I kind of stand up and make sure those look right. And then these, now this is just my shell design. Yours can be as original as you want it to be. And then this one back here, I'm just going to down here, and then I'm just going to make them match. I want this to be symmetrical, so I'm going to try to make this as symmetrical as possible. Kind of looking from the top every chance I can. You don't have to dig too deep, but you definitely want to be able to see it. And if you mess up, you can always kind of erase. Just take your finger and just kind of go over it. And then these lines here, you see how that looks there, okay? And then these lines, I'm just going to kind of go down here. And I'm going a little bit quick, mostly because I'm about out of storage on my phone. So I can only record a certain amount of video. But for this is the best thing. So there's my shell design, okay? Now, what I like to do is I like to make these kind of look like they puff out a little bit. So you can use any tool that might work for this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create like sort of a, I might even break this stick just to kind of create it into something a little more pointier, is I'm going to kind of make a, sort of like a, I don't know how I'm going to say it, but kind of so, if you can see this, the way I'm drawing this right here, sort of like the shell goes down like this, like it creates like a texture there, okay? So I'm going to do that throughout this shell and just create kind of that valley in between those shell parts. But you definitely want to have some texture there. You want to make it pretty deep. You're not going to go through it. So figure out whatever tool works best. The tools at the building probably work a little bit better. But anything that you have, you can try it out. And if it works good, then you could see this is working good. I'm taking my popsicle stick and kind of pressing over on one side and then taking it and press it over on the other side. And you can see it kind of creates that bit of depth there that you want. Because even though it's a sculpture, you still want to have a little bit of shadowing in there and a little bit of contrast with what you're building, okay? So you can go in and do your shell. However, you know, you can do that as much as you want. Now for the feet here, I'm going, this is the way that I've always thought that the feet work. Be careful if you have a tail on it. It's going to be really, really, really easily broken there. So for the feet, what I'm going to do is foot am I at here? This one. Okay. I'm going to take this, my thumb, and I'm going to press down like this. You see how I did that? So it kind of creates like a, like this is where the foot comes down and then goes down like that. You see how I did that there? There are other ways you could do it. And then I'm going to kind of straighten it up and just make that little foot area. Now, you could add little claws in there if you want, but sometimes they get so small that it doesn't work real great. But you could take a tool and just kind of try to just put some toes in there. Don't try to make stuff too small because it'll just end up cracking and breaking when it starts to get bone dry. So just kind of see how that is. Then you could clean that up with your pencil in between there and whatnot. All right. Same thing with the other feet. For your head, you're going to probably want to put a couple eyes on here. You don't have to go overboard with the whole face, but you certainly can. I'd probably use something like a pencil and just kind of make a couple marks in here for the eyes. Again, try to make them look the same from the top down. You know, you can get as detailed as you wanted. Couple little holes for the nostril, and then underneath here in the mouth, you could make a little line around there. You could make a little line around there for the mouth too. That's up to you. And then just make sure that you kind of shape it right. You don't want this here, this line, to go away. So make sure that you're keeping this. You want to see that shell where that head goes down under that shell. Don't cut it too close, but you definitely want to see it. And a lot of people, if I had a wire tool, which I don't, but I could use a pencil here, is they will kind of push this back to create like those skin folds. And again, whatever you can find that might work and use the pictures as reference, you definitely want to add textures to the head and the feet too. Okay, we don't want to stop there. We definitely, not just like the shell texture and whatnot, we want to add, this works really good for this. Kind of go down one side and then turn it on the other side and go down this way. That actually works really good. But in these feet, you got to find something that'll work. Like maybe something like the back of something round or something. And you're just going to kind of put in, you know, just put in little consecutive. So I'm doing this here. Just little textures. You want some texture in that, okay? That skin's not going to be smooth. That turtle skin is not going to be smooth. So you can see that texture I'm putting in there. Now, try to get it up underneath the sides. I mean, it doesn't have to be on the bottom of the feet or anything. You know, how far down do you want to take it down into the area with the claws? That's up to you. You know, make little dots. You know, just kind of texturize a little bit. Same with up here around the head. Now, as it gets further away from the neck, it's probably not going to have as much texture in it, and you can work on those eyes a little bit more and smoothing out the head, okay? But that's what you want to do here, okay? And just kind of texturize. You know, you can go through the shell, and you can, you know, if you want to add some texture to the shell, you know, these shells aren't going to be perfect. You know, a turtle probably has marks, and that's why the bumps and lumps aren't too much of a concern on this. And around the neck here area, adds a little bit of that texturizing. But once again, with that foot, what I did is I just went kind of down like this, press down like that, and then kind of just flatten that off, smooth this out, and then kind of push it up a little bit, okay? Now this foot, maybe you're seeing the bottom of the foot. Maybe this foot's flipped over, and he's kind of walking, and it's kind of dragging along the back, okay? So that might look a little bit different, okay? It might have a little bit of a different angle to it. All right. So as much detail as you can, and you know, keep working on these as much as you can. And you know, I would really take my time with this and smooth this really good. But I want to give you guys kind of a brief demo on kind of how to tackle, you know, tracing that out to put the shell on and then doing some of those textures. All right. All right. Good luck.